Conversations from the front lines of the talent supply chain. This is Higherside Chats. Join us as we delve into the world of talent acquisition and explore the latest trends, challenges, opportunities, strategies, and insights from the best in the business. Get inspired by industry pioneers and seasoned veterans, and discover the secrets to building powerful talent functions from their experiences. Whether you're a CEO, a seasoned HR professional, a growing business looking to scale, or someone just starting in the field, there's something for everyone. Ready for the ultimate recruitment power-up? Let's go.
Welcome to another episode of Higherside Chats, your go-to podcast for the latest news, views, and insights from the dynamic landscape of the talent supply chain ecosystem. I'm your host, Sajay, and today we're talking about a topic that's been on the minds of many industry leaders: mastering the talent supply chain and strategies for its success. From the rapid evolution of technology to shifting market demands and a looming skills gap, organizations are navigating a complex landscape to attract, retain, and develop the talent that they need. A well-functioning talent supply chain enables organizations to match individuals with roles that suit their skills and aspirations and facilitates the alignment of workforce capabilities with the business needs. In this episode, we will explore practical strategies for designing and building a resilient talent pipeline. To help us unpack this, we have with us Arunava Bhattacharjee, Senior Vice President and Global Head of Talent Supply Chain at Birlasoft. Arunava is a visionary leader with over 27 years of expertise in transforming and driving talent transformation. He is dedicated to successfully leading and implementing transformation projects across diverse environments, aligning talent strategies with business objectives, and enhancing the employer brand. Welcome, Arunava, to Higherside Chats.
Hey, thanks, Satish. Thanks for getting me here. We've spent long years together in the business and extremely happy to be here and sharing thoughts.
Thank you, Arunava, once again. I know you've been in the talent supply chain ecosystem for more than 2 decades now, and you've seen the way talent transformation has happened over the last 2 decades. Today's topic, we're largely going to be speaking about how the talent supply chain ecosystem has transformed over the last few years, and also understand from you the components of talent supply chain strategy and how do you implement it to drive business objectives. And what do you think is a primary role of a talent supply chain function in an organization and its significance to modern businesses?
So, Satish, before I get into the questions, I think first I would say that it's been a phenomenal journey for me coming to a talent supply chain kind of a subject. But I think I must thank all the employers that I have worked with who have given a lot of opportunity to learn throughout the career span. And that's one of the reasons that you have slowly mastered to where you want to be. Coming to one very important aspect, today morning when I got up, I'm sure I belong to City of Joy of India. And, we started the cyclone, which is Ramil. And one of the things which comes to my mind, the environment will always be like this. But how have you prepared yourself? Is anything changed to fight against an environment? So I think over a period of time, the anecdotes that I find between these two subjects is how well you have prepared, what you've done before the Ramil hits you, and what all things that you have done so that after it goes off, you bring the life into normalcy. So if that's the relationship, let's look at what happens in the talent supply chain. I think the biggest thing that talent supply chain organization does is the alignment of the business objective of a talent function and bring a lot of operational efficiency for the businesses. How agile you are, bring agility into the whole process and make sure that your organization are a lot more competitive in the marketplace. So that's all your talent supply chain does. The bigger thing it does, if I have to really take you to the business, is the revenue assurance that it brings in, talent supply chain as a function. And I'm sure, my colleagues who are on the frontline sales, they bring business to the organization, but how you assure that revenue, how you make sure that revenue comes home are the key areas that talent supply chain organization works. And I'll give you a few things, maybe 4 or 5 bullets, which will actually describe the talent supply chain. One of them, how do you ensure that the right skills are available at the right time? So that's something which is extremely important for a talent supply chain function. How do you optimize your resource utilization? I will give you a quick example of it. I'm sure all of us have heard if the aircrafts are on the air, the airline company earns revenue. So it's the same thing. How much you have utilized your talent in the projects, revenue will keep coming in. So how you make sure you have a better churn and you have a churn of people from moving from one project to another project, how you have planned those churn so that you are able to engage your talent into revenue projects and so on and so forth. How do you reduce cost? That's the other big area that we all talk about, both in terms of onboarding the talent from the external market. And secondly, how do you actually make sure the overall cost for the organization is kept on check? That's the other thing that's very important. How you scale up, scale down as an organization? How do you actually manage them? There will be a true up and a true down. How do you handle some of them? The other one is very important from an employee perspective. How do you help them to showcase that there's a clear path of growth? There's a learning for everybody in the organization. You and me have worked together more than 2 decades, and I think we all have learned through our jobs. So how you actually make sure that you are bringing in that learning environment for the employees in the organization. So I think those are very critical. How do you handle risk for offer delivery? Being a talent supply chain, especially in an industry which is so much dependent on people, it's all about people. So how do you handle the risk for the company? The last one, I will say, make sure your client are happy. So how you bring the client satisfaction into an home. Our top highlights of a talent supply chain strategy is the significance that it brings to the table in terms of an organization. Yes, we do bring revenue at home, but how you deliver that revenue is a lot more today dependent on the talent supply chain organization.
Great. Thanks, Arunava. So one of the things that has always been a challenge for organizations that we have represented in the past and organizations that we see, whether it is good times or bad times, there is always demand for skilled talent. And there's always shortage of skilled talent for organizations. Now, in your experience, how do you effectively stitch together a talent strategy that will enable, like you rightly said, right skills at the right time, at the right cost? How do you do this? I mean, practically, how do you stitch together an ecosystem or a strategy to enable this for organizations?
Yeah. So, Satish, I think first thing I would say, it requires a mindset. That's, I think, the biggest one. You look at the whole computer came to the industry maybe 50, 60 years back. We felt that there won't be any job, there won't be a requirement of a human being. But I think we all have worked through that. We have navigated that part of our life. And then it came in, how do we learn this box? How do you deliver? This industry have gone through a lot of technology transformation, and every time an wave has come, and I think we as a human have adopted it fine. There is no point always looking at the shortage. I don't think there's a shortage. It's all about the mindset and making sure that you have the right set of people who adapts to things, who can learn and quickly deliver. And that's the reason most of the organizations take a very important path, which is hire, train, assess, and deploy as a model. And I think that has worked always. In these 30 years, I have seen that you find adjacency skill, you find the relative skill, and how you make your rest of the organization ready. Remember, there are tools, or we call it technology, the skills, whatever we call them, it keeps coming in, it enhances, it changes, but the fundamentals of it doesn't change. Your role requirement doesn't change. So you actually need to quickly learn, make sure that you have embraced some of them and move on. And I think that's what is helping the last 3 decades, and I'm sure next 3 decades will be the same. How you actually make sure that you have created an environment where people can, get trained, get themselves assessed on a specific skill sets and deploy them to their work. And that facilitation has been important for this industry and will continue to play a major role for all of us who works in this industry.
Okay, great. Many of the organizations today always look for a perfect 100% skill match, and we have seen this in our talent acquisition days. Now, while managing the skill levels, training them, enhancing their capability requires a very careful orchestration. Many believe that hiring a 100% fit, skill ready talent is not going to be possible. So, as a practitioner on the ground who constantly works with the delivery organization demanding a 100% skill fit, how do you manage this conundrum, and what are some of the unique ways we can manage this situation?
Yeah, I think this question will be very close to many people's heart, that we always look for that perfect match. And I'm sure every day we look for a perfect match. One thing comes to my mind, and I'll probably put that example in front of your listeners. You look at one of the major things which has happened in 2023 for a country like India, where we had a launch of Chandra successfully. And if you really look at Chandra 1, 2, 3, you will find that the scientists who have worked for 1, 2, and 3 are all different. It's a new set of scientists who have worked. I think that's a great example that tells you that you need to know your core, the tools, your competencies are most important. Tools will come, technologies will come, you will adopt, you will learn. You look at 3 of those launches that India had done. There are many learnings out of that. And each of the second team who have picked it up have not only covered what they have learned on the first one, and then did more improvement on the second one. There could be a new person come in with a newer thought. There is always an opportunity to do even better. I always think that there is someone with the other organization who knows it better, but it may not be that way. It's a skill that one needs to actually learn and make sure that wherever the project requirement is, how you are applying them, how you are deploying those skill sets. And Chandrayaan is a big example for that. And I think it's not only IT services industry, but I think in all industry, people take those as an example that you will keep creating newer things. We become a lot more mature in terms of identifying talent based on the competency, not on tools and technologies, because you can learn them, you can learn and deliver. You need to really look at the core competency of a talent and make sure that you know how do you deploy them. So that's first. Second thing is very important is how you create that ecosystem within your industry, within the organization, even with the customer. You need to make sure that you are able to tell your customer that you will make sure that the business problem that is in hand, you will solve with the technology. Now, learning that technology, making sure that we have learned that technology and delivered to them is something that should be left with the people who are actually making that happen. It's the business problem that you solve. It's not about a very specific tools or understanding of skill sets. I think if that mindset change in the industry, that will actually shift the gear. You look at the evolution that has happened from a mainframe to today's AI world, there are probably 4 or 5 skill transformation which has happened in the industry. We all have adopted. We have looked at all the newer skill sets. And how we have actually developed our talent to pick up the newer skills and go on. And over a period of time, they have become an obsolete one, and again a newer phase have come in. And I'm sure we have taken enough steps as an industry, as an individual, as a organizations. We all have done that. It's only a question of time that we have to build. You look at how in India it has happened. We all thought that there will be a shortage of talent. You talked about that shortage of talent. We created an ecosystem whereby we have gone to the engineering colleges, which is owned by the private organization. In our education time, we always had a government engineering college, and we felt they had the basic infrastructure. But I think 2000 onwards, when we felt that the industry is going to have a lot more dependency on the talent, we have created an ecosystem whereby overall the ecosystem had produced a huge number of talent, and that has taken care of the shortage. So people have come in from the different engineering colleges with certain basic skill sets, problem solving skill sets, and we have adopted all of them. I mean, people have come to the industry from a civil engineering background, mechanical background, mining background, not only the computer science guys, but we have looked out people who have a core engineering skills of problem solving, and they all have come in and had a wonderful career into services. They have adopted all skill, tools, technology that's possible. And overall, that has helped in the whole ecosystem that we don't have a talent shortage at all. And I think that's the greatest example that we have set for ourselves. And I think we will continue to evolve as an industry.
Thanks for the Chandrayaan example, a wonderful example. And I'm sure listeners who are watching this episode will realize that all the fears of losing jobs because of skill changes are unfounded. We can easily adopt and adapt to the changing ecosystem. Thanks for that. So, one other question I had before we jump into another phase of our discussion is, see, Arunava, you worked across the geos. You worked in the Southeast Asian geography. You worked in Middle East. You worked, of course, with the North America and European markets. What do you think are the similarities, differences, or uniqueness of each of these geographies when it comes to talent supply chain practices and strategies?
I think there are nuances for every geography. I think the whole global collaboration has been one of the biggest topic that talent supply chain professionals have looked at to make sure that you reach to the talent where they are. Over a period of time, there were pockets, but then we have actually opened up our boundaries so much that we have managed to reach the talent where they are. It's not about a geography. And I think that's the biggest thing which has happened. And I think India played a major role in it, whereby India has produced a lot of talent in the marketplace. And not only they have got the talent, but we have created the skills, India as a market. You look at each of the geography is unique. Like I said, US as a geography had a talent shortage. And then there was an initial phase of the IT industry when a lot of talent arbitrage has happened from India to there, where we have made sure that the overall availability of a supply is a lot more. But there were constraints in terms of your immigration laws and so on and so forth. And we have navigated that. And I think there's been a remarkable political and economic will that have played well to make sure that the availability of a talent in every marketplace happens. I've worked with a lot of Asia Pacific countries, and what we have made sure in our previous organization, how do you localize the talent? So while doing the localization, we have done a globalization actually. So how you take global talent and mix them with the local talent and enhance the overall ecosystem was one of the biggest things that we have practiced, and that worked pretty well. You look at China, where we had no presence, but we built up a large presence in China as a market. What we did, we took a lot of core people from a different market and make sure that we get local talent, and those core team member actually helps build those talent locally. So that's the pitch for the industry. How do you localize, bring your core talent from across wherever they are available and make sure you improve the local talent. Same goes with our ITS industry. Look at Philippines, the way they actually worked on it. You talked about Middle East. I know the challenges that we have gone through in our initial phase when we went to Saudi Arabia as a country. But I think there was a lot of political will to make sure how those base talent comes to the local market and they helps the local market to grow. And that all worked. I think every country has taken the global thought process in their mind and make sure that the local talent is built. So I think the big learning for me has been that make sure that you improve the local talent. And how do you do that? You get your talents across the globe, make sure that you bring them for your customer and build around that. So that has been the key when it comes to the whole global collaboration that we talk about.
Great. Thanks a lot for that. So, the next phase of the discussion, I wanted to essentially ask you around the role of technologies and platforms that have played in helping this talent supply chain transformation. And I'll be failing in my duty if I don't use a buzzword AI, where everything is just AI. So, how do you think technology has played a role in optimizing talent supply chains across organizations? And two, what do you think is the impact Gen AI has had on the jobs and on the talent supply chain ecosystem, Arunava?
I think there are a couple of questions. So what I will do is I will take you through the talent supply life cycle, and I will say what technology have done into some of them. So let's look at first, and the most important part, make sure that we have a repository of a skill information for an organization. So I think that's the biggest one. How do you actually get a tool to create your skill taxonomy and make sure that you have actually got your skill repository available for the organization and make it current from every angle? And how do you create that framework? What tools you get in, how you capture, how do you make it current? In every places, there has been a lot of AI being built on. Let's look at the internal talent search and match capability. I think it's phenomenal. Today, the tools are able to help you to actually look at a job description available and the profile available and able to tell you that who matches to this particular job well. And that's been a huge change in the industry. So a search and match capability has improved manifold, because as a human, you look at an organization which has a strength of 300,000 or 500,000 people, it's very difficult to go and do a match one by one. So these tools of a search and match engine are also evolving over a period of time. And I think they play a phenomenal role in today's world, where by a click of button, you can say, okay, if you need this particular skills, then how many are available with you, where they are available, when they will be available. All that information has become a very easy with your advancement in tools, technology, and the AI which has come in. So I will go a little more when it comes to the external talent. I'm sure before we go and hit to the market, we need a job description. So in today's world, if you have a skill sets and a role, your AI can actually build your entire job description. And that happens in a click of a button. And today that's possible. There are so many tools available in the marketplace that does for you. A candidate outreach. So it's a big conversation. How do you make sure you scale? How do you make sure you keep traceability of information? So today, let's take an example of recruiter. You have hundreds of recruiter. They all may not be at a same pace. And is everybody talking to the candidate and asking all same question? And are they actually keeping all information to them in a same way? But if you have an AI tool available, I mean, today the chatbots available, whether it's through a chat, like a WhatsApp as a medium, or on a voice call, your AI is able to do that and able to reach millions of people in a one go, and able to actually have that conversation with your candidate, collect all information, and able to give it to you a stack rank of the candidates available for you. That's a phenomenal thing which has happened. I'll give you an example. A few days back, I looked at some of my dormant profile that I had in the organization. When I say dormant, I'm talking about 6 months back, those profiles have come to us and we haven't looked at them. Looked at such dormant profiles of 9,000 of them. And I said, let's reach out through an AI chatbot to all the candidates. We took only 3 hours to reach out to all 9,000 people, okay? And I've got a positive response of a career opportunity in my current organization of 2,600 people in that 3 hours, which would have been an impossible task if the AI wouldn't have with me. And I would have taken probably 100 days putting some 20 recruiters on the job to get that done. So it's a phenomenal one which has happened actually. And I'm sure these are the tools and technologies everybody is using. And that's actually going to help you on your daily life. Find out technology which is going to change your daily life, mundane task. I mean, probably recruiters are going to ask the 20 top questions to everybody in a same fashion. Maybe make sure your AI does that. And the biggest one is, if you are using chatbot, you are becoming a lot more intrusive in nature. I am able to respond as a candidate whenever I think. It does not require me to respond to somebody now. The chat is a big intrusive one. While I'm doing some work, I can still chat and respond to some of the questions, which can actually be a lead indicator to the hiring community and so on and so forth. So that's one big example. Your interview scheduling has become a complete automated one in today's life. You actually don't need to deploy a human to actually do that task for you. Talking to your interviewer, talking to a candidate, finding a common slot has become a click of a button. You look at one of the big issue I think we as an industry face is the genuinity of a candidate. And I'm sure that's a big debate. India, for an example, have come up in a long way building infrastructure called DigiLocker. And if at some point in time, if that becomes to all of us as a golden document, then all these discussions that we talk about will all go away, making sure we are using them. Making an offer, your entire chat bot can actually do a offer management for you. Today, in many of our work, we have probably 20, 30, 40, 50 team member who does an offer management alone. But you can actually make a complete automated AI process through that. Look at a documentation, collecting document from every candidate. It's such a painful exercise, but you can do that through even a WhatsApp as a medium and able to actually give a viewpoint that if you need 20 documents, where you stand on, who is at what stage, how engage the candidate. So, post offer follow up, that gives you an engagement with a candidate, that how engaged they are with. In all steps, you can do it. So that's on a full supply side. You look at your demand side as well. I think I will not do justice to my job if I only stick to the supply part of it. It's very important that we look at the demand part of it. So from your CRM tool perspective, which is the biggest one on your demand management, how you have automated, how it is able to actually talk to a supply and able to tell your sales or a frontline sales what's available, when available, and so on and so forth. So all of that has been a possibility because today we have the AI available with us. And with this, I think what has become is it has enabled us. I don't think we have to think through a situation whereby we think someone will get replaced by someone. I think human has a lot more job to play. It's a collaboration that AI and human needs to do to make sure that they are actually helping each other to achieve a better result. So, and that collaboration actually is going to help. I think it's very important how you collaborate with the tools and technologies and take it to a next level.
Great examples and wonderful use cases, Arunava, of how you can use technology to enhance the quality of experience as well as speed of response, especially in the talent supply chain ecosystem, where today, if you don't respond to a candidate, you pretty much just lost that talent in today's, competitive. Before we kind of wrap up, we have an interesting round of questions for you. We usually call this the quick fire round. Would request you to respond in small, bite-sized responses. What is your one piece of advice for companies looking to scale their recruitment process?
I think don't look for best match always, look for near match will be my thought process. And that will solve a lot of problem for all of us.
Brilliant. And what do you think are the top skills required to be a good talent supply chain expert?
I think the understanding of business, or if you know business, then you will get early signals for yourself for a supply. And getting that early signal through understanding of a business will be the key. And you got to learn that how.
Okay. And you spoke a lot about how AI is transforming the talent supply chain ecosystem. Do you foresee AI replacing some of the traditional roles that the recruitment or the talent supply chain professionals have been doing? And do you see this as a challenge?
No, I think I would say embrace the changes, realign yourself, get into areas where humans have done well. We have created computer, we have created AI, and we will create something new. The biggest one will be embrace the change, realign yourself. It will be all good.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Arunava. I mean, your insights have been great, especially in building a very solid talent supply chain ecosystem. You spoke a lot about how technology can be used to enable some of the implementation of the strategies in the talent supply chain ecosystem. And finally, some of the ideas that you gave, especially about embracing change, embracing technologies and tools, I think will build a solid talent supply chain ecosystem. To those who are tuned in, thank you very much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Join us next time for another episode to bring you the latest and the best from the world of talent and HR. And find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Don't miss a single episode. And do subscribe to Highside Chats today. And once again, Arunava, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you spending this 30 minutes with us. And all of you, don't forget to leave a review or share on your social media to help us reach as many ears as possible.
Thanks, Satish. Thanks for getting me here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.